Is it just the two of us right now? Just you and me, baby?
Sarah Clemens is on.
Oh, good.
Yep, and I've got some other people in the waiting room here, so.
All right, I'll mute myself then.
Thank you, Denise. Hi, Edith. I'm just saying hi, and then I'm going to mute everyone after, but.
Check mic, check mic. Hello.
Hello, Chief Curley, how are you?
Good. Madam Select Person, how are you?
I'm well. Ready for a long afternoon.
Oh, it's a labor of. All right, I will go to mute until someone summons me.
Sounds good, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Bennett.
Well, good afternoon. Good to run into you again.
Yes.
Hi, Chief.
Good morning, Mr. Select Chairperson, Dick Bennett, or after today. I was singing to myself the song What a Wonderful World when you chimed in, so sorry.
Oh, I was listening to a great banjo group, the Carolina Chocolate Drops.
Oh, yeah, I know him well. I know him well.
Well, Rihanna Giddens is one of my favorites right now. But I went back because the old group was the Chocolate Drops, and I just find it so entertaining.
Yeah, she's great. And I think she's played at Stone Mountain before when they were still having concerts. So,
Been over there, I went over twice and saw her.
yeah, well, I'm spoiled for going over there because I think the last time I went there, I saw Ralph Stanley.
Yeah.
One of his last performances, and I got his autograph. So
Nice.
it's in my banjo case in
All right.
that going for me.
Well, Mr. Bennett, we have, hi Hank, I see you joined us. We have Will the Recorder, we have John Allen, Dick Bennett, and Barb Campbell. And both Julies are on the phone as well. So
Well, then I should open the meeting.
I think we're ready.
This Selectmen's meeting of January 26, 2021. I have to keep remembering to say 21.
Yeah.
I trained myself. And the first item is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. And I do have a couple of corrections for that. The first one was Kevin Bennett did not say that they signed a waiver for snowmobile use. The Burketts signed a Class 6 road waiver, but the waiver says nothing about snowmobiles, only that the town not maintaining the road in the winter and no school buses. And the other clarification is that Kevin didn't say that he'd send a letter requesting the removal of the lamppost. He said he could send a letter requesting removal of the paved portion of driveway that is in the setback. So I would add those two corrections to last meeting's minutes.
And I will make a motion to approve those minutes as amended.
I will second that. Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay, the next item for discussion is from the emergency management COVID policy update and update on the hazard mitigation plan.
So Emily is not going to be able to make it on the call today. So we made a few adjustments to the current policy, mostly that we were going to request that anyone that is leaving the New England area let their department head know, as well as the select board. So that is one change to the policy. I'm sorry.
So it's not either or, it's both.
It's both, correct. And then just reading, and then employees who test positive for COVID shall not return to work until either cleared by a healthcare provider, proof of a negative test 10 days from last symptoms, or 10 days after a positive test with no symptoms. You must isolate during this time. So there's a few tweaks to the policy. but it's very logical and just requesting additional diligence and following the rules. So do you both have copies of the policy as changed?
Yes.
I do not, but I've been out of the loop, obviously, so. I'm
You
going to
trust us,
abstain.
John?
I do, but yeah, I apologize, but I've been out of the loop, I'm afraid.
No worries. One of the other things we're changing is that we have a sign in and sign out sheet for each of the town buildings now for anyone that comes in other than employees, because we have delivery people, we have people that are not employees. They may want to come in for a reason, and while we don't encourage it and the offices are pretty much closed, we do want to know that if people are coming in and out, this will help us with any contact tracing that we have to do in case someone tests positive, and just for an extra precaution. So that has been disseminated to all of the town locations and offices, and they're being used already.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the new COVID policy with updates effective today.
I'll second that. Well, John, you go right ahead. You haven't been here for a while.
No, I'll let you second that, Dick. I'm going to abstain because I have not been any part of that
Okay,
discussion.
I'll second that. Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I'm abstaining.
Bennett, yes. So that policy will be in place.
Yes, and I will make sure that once that is done, that all the department heads get it, and they will be responsible for sending it out to their staff or posting it, whatever is their best method.
All right. And then I have a copy of the Jackson Hazard Mitigation Plan. It's just a review and an update of the plan we have. I don't believe there's any changes. So I think we should go ahead and accept this plan.
I'll make a motion to accept the updated hazard mitigation plan.
I will second. Oh, John, are you there?
I am. I will second that.
Sweet.
All right. Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how?
I vote yes. Hello?
Yes, you're good. Thank you.
Switch to active speaker. Okay.
Just a note right now, we have about 28 people on the phone today on the Zoom call, so we have quite a good crowd. If anyone does have a comment, I know a lot of folks are on the phone and not through video, but if you do have a comment or question and want to use the chat feature, I will be monitoring that. Just an FYI. Sorry to interrupt you.
So I got lost on the vote for the hazard mitigation. John, did you vote?
I voted yes, yes.
Bennett, yes. Barbara, did I ask you?
I'd vote yes.
All right. So that's accepted. Okay, then we have the update on the Muskoma Bank TAN, which is the annual renewal of the TAN with the bank. And that's just so we have the line of credit in place, already approved, if we ever need it. Well, hopefully we never do, but let's put it in place.
Right.
Just for conversation, when was the last time we actually used it?
Julie?
We had to use it back, it must have been 2004, 2005, I can't remember exactly.
I thought it was 2010, but that could be wrong.
Okay. I easily could be wrong, so I have a faulty memory. So we did use it, but it was a year that we used up our reserves to cut down on the tax rate, which was fine, but I didn't like the policy of not having a cushion in place. So now I think we're really working at keeping a good cushion. Plus, we have the ability to get a loan quickly if we need it.
Right.
Oh, and for this year, we need to have it so that the chairman signed the documents. This is just for this year, and it was just so that we cut down on traffic at the town office
Mhm.
during the COVID pandemic.
Good plan.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the Muskoma Bank TAN with the chairman signing the paperwork.
I will make that motion.
And I will second.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay. And then we have to approve the services of our assessing services of our town assessor, North Town Associates Incorporated, no, LLC. They've held the line on their pricing. They do a great job. I have total respect for their work. So I see no reason not to agree to have them on for another year.
I'll make a motion to renew the Northtown Associates contract for another year.
I will second.
All right, Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. All right, Jason. Then we have a intent to cut on, let's see, R14 Lot 10 on Thornhill Road. The cutting will be done by Trevor Limmer of Limbs to Lawns. Don't see any reason not to approve that. But I would take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the intent to cut it.
I will-
R14 Lot 10.
I will second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bennett, yes. And then we have
Are you there, Mr. Bennett?
Okay, we're good.
I think we lost him. There you go.
intent to, I'm sorry. Before we do that, we have a discussion of the Boston cane.
Mhm.
I
Um,
believe Ann Pillion is on to comment on that.
yes, she is. Hi, Ann.
There we go. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Ann,
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ann Pillion, the new incoming president for the Jackson Historical Society. And in going through a number of things in the files and whatnot, I discovered the history about the Boston Post cane and specifically Jackson's, and saw that, at least in our records, the cane hasn't been awarded to the oldest resident since 2010. It was Victor, it was 2005 and he passed in 2010. And it was Victor Ferguson. And Dick, you were there at that tradition, presenting the cane to Victor.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a clipping of that, of the news release on that. So I just would like to propose, if the interest is there, to resurrect this tradition. I think it's it dates to 1909. Jackson was one of the towns that did receive the cane, and we do still have it. About a half an hour ago, I had an appointment in the town hall to look at it and hold it for my first time. And it's a beautiful old cane, and a replica was made. A lot of towns have, since it's such a historic item at this point, it's what, about 110 years old. And a lot of towns, including Jackson, have had, or some towns had replica. Jackson had a replica made and awards the replica where the recipient can hold on to it. And I just thought it might be nice to resurrect this tradition and wonder what you all think. And I appreciate being invited. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's good to see you from afar, but
Yes.
we'll get together. I think it's a great idea. I think it was a wonderful tradition. And I think it's a tradition that Jackson can carry on. We do have the original cane plus a replica that we present to whomever. So I think, you know, if we can locate the oldest resident and get them in for a presentation, I think that would be, or we'll do a presentation of some sort. And get the replica to them. And I think it's a wonderful thing to continue.
I agree. What is the process going to be, and will you take the lead on that once we, if we approve it?
I'd be happy to, Barbara. I'm not familiar what Jackson has done, as maybe it varied each time, I don't know. But I would be happy to take the lead and work with someone to reestablish what we decide we want to do.
That's great. And then do we know how many are left? How many are actually active, I should say?
There's a, this book was published,
Yeah, that's amazing.
and back then, I think 56% of the canes that were issued to New Hampshire remained, and that was in 1999 that the book was published. Our
Wow.
town, which is interesting, the author sent a survey out to each town, and Julie shared that in your files, you still have the questionnaire that was sent out in our answers. But so, you know, about 20 years ago, half the canes were missing.
That's amazing.
So I just want to, this is Lycan from the library. Hi, Ann.
Hi,
Um,
Mike.
So Julie did ask me to look in our files and research a little bit, which I'll do when I get back to the library on Thursday. So that's on my list to do.
Thank
Great.
you. Yes, we thought you might have something. In looking at this book that has a summary of what all the different towns in New Hampshire do, largely it seems it's the selectmen, historical societies, and the public libraries that engage in this tradition.
Fantastic. Thanks for bringing that up again.
Thank you.
Well, I think, I don't know if we'd have to take a formal vote. Anybody opposed to Ann pursuing, finding the proper person to present the Boston Post cane to? I
None
don't
for
think
me.
there's. John?
Of course. Yeah, I don't know if it needs to be revoked, 'cause it was an ongoing thing. It just hadn't been updated in a while. Obviously, it needs to be done, and I appreciate Ann taking the task upon herself to do that.
Great.
Well, thank you very much, Ann. That'll
Thank you,
be a
Dick.
great help.
Very good.
And maybe we'll make the newspapers
Ooh.
In a good way.
in a good way. All right, now we'll go on to a discussion of use of snow machines and ATVs on a Class 6 road, Iron Mountain Road. I think I'll call on Chief Pearlie first to speak to this. Chief, if you would.
Hi, Dick. Thank you. As you know, a little back history, the issue came up of unauthorized maintenance of the upper portion of Iron Mountain Road, or Iron Mountain Road at the end of Green Hill Road. And in the research to find out what the rules and regulations and laws associated with that were, as well as the effects of those rules on the participants' requests, we identified two specific areas of regulation that were being looked. One was the regulations associated with the maintenance, voluntary or otherwise, of Class 6 roads, which is a part of a different discussion. And the other was the actual use of a Class 6 road for any purpose, particularly travel, and in this case, travel by snowmobile. So I did some research on some policies and best practices. I think as a matter of policy, at least from a public safety standpoint, I don't think people who live on that road full-time could get by without some alternative form of travel back and forth to their homes, because it is not maintained for winter travel. And I do know at least one family up there that lives full-time with a child, and so they have to have access in and out for safety's sake and just for living. So as a matter of policy, I encourage the permission to be given by the select board, which is the authority to give that permission. That being said, I provided the select board with an email, kind of with some guidance on rules that should be in place should that permission be given. And there's 10 separate rules. And in general, it's the permission should only be given to property owners only for the purposes of transportation to and from their property, not for recreational use, that they abide by certain OHRV rules and regulations. One in particular, that if they're going to use OHRVs up there, and I didn't limit my recommendations to just snowmobiles because there could be an alternative off-highway recreational vehicle that somebody may have or want to use, like a tracked side-by-side or a tracked four-wheel. But they should be registered with Fish and Game. My rationale for that is there's no roadway in the town of Jackson, nor is there any vehicle allowed on a roadway that isn't registered. So I thought those rules should also apply there. And that in and amongst the itemized list that I provided you, I won't go through each one. You wanted me to, but that any person who has permission to use an OHRV on Iron Mountain Road or uses an OHRV on Iron Mountain Road does so with the understanding they assume any and all risks associated with that operation, and they hold harmless the town of Jackson for any actions or inactions associated with the OHRV use. And I thought that was important because the significance of a Class 6 road, as has been discussed many times, is it relieves the town of liability associated with any harm that comes from lack of maintenance. And with the increased use of the roadway that is not maintained regularly, it should be with the understanding that this is special permission and that they assume any and all risk. Otherwise, you could lose your limited liability associated with class 6, or it could turn to a different classification of road by use or by maintenance. So I thought that was important. And I think everybody that's asking permission is doing so in a proper fashion, and it's to get back and forth to their properties and their homes, and that's appropriate. My concern is that if there aren't some pretty clear regulations and people find out that you can use a snowmobile on Iron Mountain Road, then through word of mouth or social media or otherwise, it will become known to do so. It'll be impossible for the police to differentiate between permitted users and non-permitted users. And it could become a considerable target for recreational snowmobile riding, which is not really what should be done up there. And it would turn into a considerable amount of snowmobile riding on the Hayes Farm property, because that just begs to be done so with a snowmobile if people are snowmobile fans. So I want to make sure we don't open a bigger can of worms by allowing unrestricted permission and then encouraging misbehavior.
So Chief, would the permit go with the property owner, or would it go with the resident of the property?
Well, some of those properties, Barb, don't have structures on them. And I can't say I know everybody on Iron Mountain Road. And some of the email requests would say they want to check on their property. So I don't know if that meant a structure or if it's just their land. So I think if somebody is a property owner, whether it's real property, land and building, then they're within their rights to ask for permission and receive permission, but the permission should be specific and in writing to a person, and that person should keep that written permission on them, so that if there's any conflict, they could show it to a person that might be, questioning their behavior and their conduct, which is very common because in you're hunting or fishing in New Hampshire, there's a law that says any person can demand proof of a hunting and fishing license. So that, that could head off some problems if they have and keep that written permission with them. And it helps us with enforcement because we don't know everybody, and property could change hands. And so somebody could own something today and sell it tomorrow. So I think it should be written specifically to a person, whether it's land or building or both, and that they have that written permission with them, just like a registration form when they're traveling on their devices.
Thank you. Makes sense.
John, do you have questions on this?
No, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I think it covered all the bases.
Oh, I think he's done a great job. The chief's done a great job of giving us the words to really kind of control what happens up there. My only question now is more for Pat Kelly, is what we're going to do about parking. I think we should deal with it. I think there is going to be the need for parking space up there. And that's always scary too, because you don't want to open it up too much, because then you're inviting the public in. So we'll have to figure out something so that parking does not interfere with road maintenance. If there is an accident, we want to be able to get up there with a, the fire department now has a four-wheel vehicle that could get up there. We wanted to keep that right of way open, and that is what a class 6 road is a right of way. So I think we need to immediately give the permissions for the people who apply for them. And as the chief said, it should be specific to the property owners. So hopefully I've got a number of letters in front of me from people who have property up there. And I think we should move ahead with giving them permission for using, what was it? OHRVs, thank you. Does that sound good?
You just opened up a can of worms with the parking thing now that you mention it. I didn't even think about that. You know, I mean, how many properties potentially could have cars that want to park at the end there, and properties up there they want to get up by snowmobile?
I know. We're gonna have to try to figure that one out.
Dick, this is Pat Kelly. I'm on the line if I can.
Hi, Pat.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that the town owns any parking along there. I'd have to dig a little deeper, but I'm pretty sure the place at the bottom where the pavement turns to dirt, I believe all we have is the right-of-way. The 50-foot right-of-way, I believe, goes all the way to the top. On plans I've seen is 50 foot on up there. And the little parking lot the town doesn't own where those people park at the bottom. And I believe it goes all the way up through just that way. I don't believe we own any parking up there.
Okay. As I
FYI.
said, I think it's something that we're going to have to work on. I don't know if we can make a deal with the property owners at the bottom there or make some accommodation within our right of way, you know, parallel parking or whatever. Anyway, it's something we're going to have to consider. I don't think we have that answer today. I think the process has been going on long enough that I know the Burketts have figured out how to park and access their home. They're the permanent residents up there. I know Carrie's grew up there, so they've figured out how to do it. But I think like all the stuff, it's a movable feast. We're going to have to figure it out though sometime. So we'll just keep our eyes open and see where the impact is. So we have to get, you know, plow. Oh, and the other part of it is, I think we have to curtail any plowing on the road, on the Class 6 road now. I don't think that the two items are compatible. I think we either allow, you know, somebody to plow to their property, or we allow snow machines and ATVs. So I think that at this time we have to curtail plowing on that section of road and open it up and allow the property owners to use alternative vehicles.
Where are people parking now that have access through the snowmobile center?
I was up there today, actually while I was talking to Dick, because I've been checking on the area, you know, fairly regularly during the period that everyone's discussing this, so I could kind of get a sense of what's happening on a day-to-day basis. And I just want to make, and I don't know if Pat knows this, but I did recommend in that slate of regulations that the permission to use an OHRV does not include the section of Iron Mountain Road until the Forest Service Road and then beyond towards, you know, the height of the land. Reason being is we have two homes. We have two homes, both on Iron Mountain Road, the Martin House, which I think is either rented out or UNH owns or something, and then Mark Sinot's house. And I didn't really think if there was going to be an increase in OHRV use, it would be proper to have them going back and forth in front of those two occupied homes. So, because this is really just to access their property itinerantly, with the exception of the Burketts, up on Iron Mountain Road. So my recommendation was that the authorized use is only to the Forest Service Road. Now that brings us to what's going on at the Forest Service Road, kind of Iron Mountain Road junction. There's a little bit of place to park, kind of ad hoc. People access cross-country skiing up there. The groomer comes up to the Forest Service gate for skiing. And so that's where people park. And it does get congested, and not really from snowmobiling. It can get congested on any given day for people cross-country skiing because there's trail access up near there. So that was something that, I think that's really a detail that the property owners have to figure out. Just like if you're in the city and there's no parking where you want to park, you got to find an alternative. And that is, my recommendation wasn't that we make a parking lot or that we, let people park wherever they want. The regulation specifically says you can't park so as to block emergency access to Iron Mountain Road. God forbid somebody needs our help up there. So they will park on the right-hand side of the road facing in. It's wide enough for two vehicles to pass, but not really turn around. It's an ugly place to turn around if the surface is slippery or snow covered at the terminus of the Forest Service Road and Iron Mountain Road. So what I don't want to see is that probably it's a plow turnaround at the bottom of Billy Goat Road get turned into the reserve snowmobile parking lot, because I don't think that's really what it's provided for. And I don't think that's fair to the two home road or even the homes on Green Hill Road. So I think the parking is going to be, there's very limited parking. You got to figure it out. And if you can't do it so that the way is clear, you'll have to, wait your turn, I guess. It's got to be a challenge living on a Class 6 road, but I don't want it to become a challenge to public safety.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, so should we make a motion to go ahead and allow alternative vehicles on Iron Mountain Road, on the Class 6 part of Iron Mountain Road above the Forest Service gate?
I'll make a motion that owners or residents should request that permission and it be granted.
I will second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay, well,
Dick, before I forget, Dave Mason is on the line and would like to ask a question. Would you mind if he spoke?
no,
Dave?
Hello, this is actually Susan Mason, David
Hi,
Mason's
Susan.
wife. Hello, nice to meet all of you face to face. David and I purchased property there about 5 years ago on Iron Mountain. We are at 276 Iron Mountain Road. And first of all, I want to thank you very much for allowing us permission to use the snowmobiles. For us, the snowmobile is a means of transportation purposes in order to bring provisions to our cabin, as well as in case of an emergency. The question I have, since the road has come up and where to park and all of that, for the most part, we are up there part-time. For the most part, we go there a lot on the weekends in the winter time because it's just so pristine and beautiful. So my question is, we have been parking where on the side of the road where the chief is discussing where the Forest Service gate is. And, usually we get there really early on a Saturday morning or a Friday night. My question is, who owns that area by the Forest Area Road? Because there is enough parking spaces, but on a weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday, it is jam-packed. And I would never put my vehicle in front of the Forest Service Road blocking that area. And there are signs clearly stating that that area is not to be blocked. But on the weekends, it's busy. It is packed. That area is very busy. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the board.
Thank you. I agree that parking is going to be an ongoing discussion because we would like to do it well, figure out how to accommodate the pressure that skiers bring to it besides the property owners. And I don't have the answer, but we certainly will work at it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well,
Sarah
thank you
Clemens,
for
may I
attending.
speak?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, this is Sarah Clemens on Green Hill Road. May I speak?
Yes.
I'm speaking as a resident of Green Hill Road, and that's one of the things that we have spoken about before is during certain times of the year, and actually all year long, the traffic going up and down our road and the speed limit of the people going up and down our road. Like Mrs. Mason just said, it becomes very, very, very busy, and people are doing far over 35. That was why we requested a group of us to have our speed limit turned down to 25 miles an hour. I would like to reiterate that due to all this traffic and also the cross-country screen at the bottom of the hill, it is a dangerous situation. And thank you for hearing that.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other input to the Iron Mountain Class 6 road?
Just one thing is, I would just encourage the select board, when they issue the written permission, if they're going to adopt those 10 points of regulation,
Mhm.
they include writing with those people, to the people, so they understand the breadth of what they have to do. Other than,
Right.
so they don't just walk away thinking, well, now we have permission to ride a snowmobile, unless that's what you want to do.
No,
So
I
that-
think on the permit, we should incorporate the 10 points that you've given us, because I think that clarifies the intent and the wording to give us the backup, the leverage.
And I think it'll actually help. You know, there's a little skin in the game for them as well, because if there's some regulations, it'll help ensure that it's done in a safe fashion, and will also inhibit other people from going up there who don't have permission, because it'll be so easy to differentiate. So that's all I wanted to say.
And
Sounds
just
good. I think
one other comment that Jackson Ski Touring does not support folks parking up there to ski. So if someone does go through the Ski Touring Foundation, they are designated or directed to the correct places and right places to park.
which is helpful.
Yes. Another thing, just to clarify for owners, someone else on the call asked what the process of obtaining the permit would be. And that would be to email the town office through the town administrator, or Julie Atwell or Julie Hoyt. So I will put the email on the chat here.
And make the request as soon as you can. We'll try to get the format worked out pretty quickly. Okay, I'm going to move on to short-term rentals. The applications that are up for approval. So the first one is 69 Dundee Road. Family, 2-bedroom tax card, 2-bedroom septic, building permit, advertising for 1-bedroom, sleeps 2. I think that one's okay to approve.
That is, and I will make a motion to approve the 69 Dundee Road application.
I will second.
Feels
Barbara, how
like
do
you
you
never
vote?
left, huh, John?
Yeah.
I vote yes, Dick.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. John, I'm going to try to keep including you. I have to be retrained. I'm not used to having you
Again,
right
I
there.
apologize for not being
No.
here. I know, you gotta rub it in, I know.
You're good.
No, I'm just ever so pleased that you're in attendance.
Agreed.
I'm easily forgettable, I've been told.
All right, the second one is 18 Lower Highlands Road, 3-bedroom tax card, 3-bedroom septic, no building permit, advertising 4 bedrooms, sleeps 8. Needs to change their bedrooms to 3. They have a 3-bedroom septic and they have a 3-bedroom tax card. Where the 4th room came from, I don't know, but they will be required, before they get a permit, they will be required to change their advertising.
Correct.
So I think we deny that one.
Change it. We already changed it to 3 bedrooms. There was a 4th room that we called the bunk room that we talked about with the planning board. So it still only sleeps 8.
You can advertise for 8.
Yes. And that's what we have it advertised for. There's a 3-bedroom, sleeps 8.
What's the septic?
Is 3
Yep.
bedrooms,
They have a 3-bedroom septic
Mhm.
and a 3-bedroom tax card.
correct? And that's the way we have it advertised, as a max of 8.
Yeah, that would be correct.
Yeah.
Well then, I think we can approve that one.
Thank you. Is that Stu, Jerome?
Yes, thank you so much for your
Okay.
consideration.
Thank you. I will make a motion to approve 18 Lower Highlands Road.
I will second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes,
Bennett, yes. All right, the next one is 10A Georgia Lane. 2-bedroom tax card, 2-bedroom building permit, advertising 2 bedrooms, sleeps 5. I would say this is okay to approve.
Can I say something,
Uh,
Dick?
Go ahead, Kevin.
I
Sorry.
just noticed this, this is one of the condos over at the Wentworth. And right now, I don't see that on my list for the change of egress windows over there. And I know 2 of the bedrooms don't meet egress unless they did it a long time ago, but I don't think they did. Right now I have 18 permits out for egress windows to be changed out. 3 have been done, 2 are in the process, and this one's not on the list.
All right. I'm glad for that input. I think we should deny that until they have, or tell us they have, egress windows.
Sounds good.
So I think we have to vote to deny.
Correct.
All right, I'll make a motion that we deny this permit.
Sorry, I didn't. I'll second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
yes.
Bennett, yes.
Get it?
The next one is 124 Dundee Road.
2 minutes.
And, 3-bedroom tax card, 2-bedroom plus sleeping loft, building permit, no septic plan on record, advertising for 3 bedrooms, sleeps 8.
I'll make a motion to approve
I'll second.
124 Dundee.
I will second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay, 996 New Hampshire Route 16. 3-bedroom tax card, 2-bedroom septic, 2-bedroom building permit, advertising 2 bedrooms, sleeps 8. I think we need to change that to sleeps 6.
I agree.
So I would
May I-
vote to deny.
Okay,
May I, hold on, can I speak? This is the owner of the property?
is that
State your name.
Scott Kudrick?
Yes, it is. So I had talked to the planning board about this property. It is actually listed as a 2-bedroom with 6 on it now. However, I had it previously listed with the additional occupants because the septic system that I sent in with the permit, there's copies of the design. It was originally a joint septic, or it is a joint septic that was built for 3 cabins. There's only 2 cabins on it. The other cabin that shares the property is only a 1-bedroom with 2 people as occupancies. So there's plenty of septic capacity to handle additional occupants at 996, as well as safety and egress with the design of that property. And the planning board reviewed it. I included copies of the state approvals on the septic that show there is actually approval for 2 separate buildings that can each have 2 bedrooms each. And there's only 1 cabin on the property that doesn't have your traditional laundry and kitchen, etc. And it's only a 1-bedroom property. And then this other cabin has a walkout basement that has bunk beds. It was specifically designed to be able to hold family, to be able to accommodate 2 families that might have kids that want to bunk up together. The property was inspected by Kevin and Jay Henry. It meets all egress. It's a walkout. And I have plenty of septic capacity in there. Even as a side note, the septic was first put in to be 3 separate 2-bedroom cabins, but unfortunately, I kind of dropped the ball, and it was over July 4th, and we didn't get the septic done in time to have it finished, and my timeline expired, so I had to reapply. I already had the septic system in the field, but not the D box. I had someone that I don't think was really qualified to go through the state process, but and we just missed the deadline, so we reapplied, paid all the fees, and we did it as there was new septic requirements when we did that, and therefore we lost one of the cabins, but we had plenty of capacity to have 2-bedroom cabins, noting that larger system was already in place.
When you
What's your
talk about the adjoining properties, is that your property as well, Scott?
Yes, it's 998. It's probably next up on the list. I also sent in a picture of the advertisement for that property. It's just it's a cabin that is only listed for 2 people. It doesn't have washer and dryer, doesn't have, a big kitchen like a dishwasher or anything like that.
Will Reisig has his hand raised as well.
Hi, thank you for recognizing me. As I recorded for and attended the planning board's meeting where this application was accepted, I am privy to one other detail. In the comments to the Board of Selectmen, the planning board suggested that due to the unique arrangement of 996 and 998 Route 16 using the same septic system as Mr. Kudrick just explained to us, that the 2 applications be considered simultaneously rather than being accepted individually. That's all. Just
Thank
wanted
you.
to highlight that recommendation.
Thank you.
All right, I have a the property line. Okay, you have a property that has approval for the septic system and another property that has approval for the septic system. And I'm not sure that you can just take some of the approval away from one and apply it to the other, or however it's going. So what I'm saying is the 2-bedroom septic, 2-bedroom building permit for 996, I think should be advertised as sleep 6. And then what happens at the other property is a separate issue. Now, we can, accept that they're kind of co-joined in their use of the septic system, but what happens on, I don't want a remodel on 998 to then increase the bedrooms for some reason, and then have that impact on the septic system. So personally, I think that we'd be fine if the advertisement was changed for 996.
What, if you pull up the advertisement for 996, what do you see as the number of bedrooms?
I don't have the advertisement in front of me,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
I have what my,
It's been
the
2, so
research-
I don't know where the,
I have what the research was done on it, and the advertising at some point said 2 bedrooms, sleeps 8. So I would just like it to say sleep.
yeah, it should only say 6.
That's right. It should only say sleep 6.
And that is what it says.
Okay, so if 996 says sleep 6 and 998 has sleeps 2 or 1 bedroom, then we're okay with it as separate applications.
Sounds good to me.
And then on the comment about, Dick, what you said about like a building permit to increase 998, which would negate what Mr. Kudrick is saying, I'm hoping that we have notes in our tax files or whatever that these are short-term rentals that would have to be considered, and maybe this is sort of an addendum to that, that we would have to check if a building permit were submitted for either of the properties.
I think that's a good idea.
What do you, I'm sorry, what do you, I mean, if I were to build an addition on the smaller cabin, you mean?
But that would negate your septic sharing.
Well, actually the current septic is for two bedrooms each on both properties.
Right,
So
I'm just using it as a, what if? So if you down the road submitted something to build a 4-bedroom house and,
Oh,
you know,
right, yeah, obviously.
and go over and above.
Yeah, no, that would never happen. So,
We don't know. We don't know what happens in the future, but we're just saying that we'd
We
like
just want to
to,
be prepared.
be aware and make a note of it. And
I don't think Kevin Bennett would ever let me pass a permit
Good.
for more than
And I
bedroom.
think we're going to approve the 2, no, Kevin wouldn't, but he might not be here. So I think we're set to approve those 2 permits.
I will make a motion to approve 996 and 998 Route 16.
I will second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bennett,
And I'm
yes.
just gonna throw one more caveat in here, I guess. It's, what if you were to sell one property? So I think this is where we need to make sure that we have our ducks in a row in town, that that we have notes in each of these properties. So if something were to change, Mr. Kudrick, that we would be notified that these are short-term rentals, that they are, the maximum usage for each would still total what the septic can hold. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's excellent addendum to that. Actually, we should put it on the tax cards.
Right.
Okay, we'll move on to 7 Meserve Hill Road. 6-bedroom tax card, 6-bedroom septic,
Wow.
advertising 6 bedrooms, sleeps 14. That's right in line. So I think we can approve that as a 6-bedroom.
And I'll make a motion to approve 7 Meserve Hill.
I will second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. All right, 85 Dundee Road. There's a 1-bedroom tax card, 1-bedroom septic. We don't have the building permit. It's quite an old building. It's advertised as 1 building, sleeps 3. And that would be okay to approve. Although I didn't know that there was such a thing as a 1-bedroom septic system. But I accept that. So it's okay to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve 85 Dundee Road.
I will second that.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay, then we have, that's all the new permits. We have pending is McInnes permit has been received on 1/19, 2021. We received the application. It will go to the planning board, their February 11th meeting. Soletta is not in compliance. First violation letter has been sent, no response. They had 30 days
Oh.
to respond. And I think we should vote to send a second letter.
Barb and Dick, this is Julie Hoyt.
Mhm.
I spoke with Mr. Soletta this morning, and I sent him the application, so he's all set. He has been quarantining in Massachusetts, so he wasn't able to get to his mail up here, and that's why he didn't receive the violation notice. But I've spoken with him, and he's gonna mail everything in.
That's great. You don't have to send out a second notice, and we expect to get an application from him soon.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
So then we have short-term rental complaint, 62 Thornhill Road, Oregon. Barbara, do you have an update on that?
I do. They are now in compliance and have only been advertising for the maximum, so they are not up to their 21 guests. So I'm keeping an eye on that, and the Horrigans have been cooperating. So I think that's great news. I appreciate all of the diligence of following up on this. And I think that the process, while it was burdensome and long, proved successful. And I hope that things moving forward stay that way. So they're down to their required maximum guests.
So they have a new,
And Victor Allen is on the line. Victor, would you like to comment? Hold on, you're muted, sir. You're gonna have to unmute there. There you go.
I just wanted to thank the selectmen and the two Julies for everything they've done. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks for your patience and your diligence.
Okay.
Hopefully
Thank
it's a
you.
win-win.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
all right, then we have building permits. Well, first one is the DeFusco Pratt. DeFusco has been sent a violation notice. Will be a enforcement issue. That's in the hands of town council. The parking situation is definitely a civil matter. I don't think we can step into that. So I believe that's between the contractor and the two property owners.
Agreed.
I'm sorry. We have the approved building permits from the building inspector. One at, let's see, R8 lot 11A, 1082 Route 16, remodel a basement, install a kitchen, install a deck. That's been approved. This is just for information.
Mhm.
Another one at R12 lot 114, 18 Old Jackson Road, remodel, extend the bedroom and bath and change the windows. Both those permits are approved by the building inspector and will go ahead. Let's see, approved driveway permits, Benish driveway permit is postponed until further notice. The right-of-way at Vista Way is still pending. Then we have upcoming meetings. Let's see, we'll have,
Dick, excuse me, before we go on there, Diane Pratt had a question based on the complaint, building permit complaint.
yeah,
Would you like to hear, Diane?
Yeah, I was just looking for some clarification. I think at the beginning of this session, referencing back to the meeting minutes from the last BOS meeting. I think, I don't recall, I apologize if it was Dick or Kevin Bennett who mentioned that there was a correction in reference to the setback requirement for driveways. And I understand from that correction that a violation notice would be issued. So the comment that Dick just made with regard to parking at the DeFusco property, I just want a clarification that that is separate of the setback violation that was raised.
let's see, the parking was a property line between the two property owners. The violation was the light post in the right-of-way that was granted. There's a violation letter that has been sent out for the lamp post that will be in the hands of town council to pursue. The parking that infringed on the property line on your property is not within our jurisdiction. that is a civil matter between the two property owners.
Dick, just to, again, just for my clarification. So one of the thing I was making reference to with regard to the setback is the call out in the Town of Jackson Road Design and Construction Standards, which states in section 2.1 that all roads and driveways have to comply with those standards. Section 8.12 specifically calls out that driveways have to comply with Exhibit B. Exhibit B on page 20 illustrates the requirement for a 15-foot setback. So while we understand that we have an encroachment issue with that property, which is a civil matter, and certainly not to burden the Board of Selectmen, there is a non-compliance for the setback. That reference to Exhibit B, by the way, is also contained in the driveway permit packet. So, that, as I understand it, does fall under the jurisdiction and enforcement of the board.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get back to Kevin on that, just to see if and also town council, to see if we do have the ability to step in there, but and if we do, we certainly will.
Thank you. I appreciate being heard.
And Dick, also, Mr. DeFusco is on the line and would also like to comment.
Okay.
Mr. DeFusco, you are muted. No, try one more time. Okay, there you go.
In regards to the post, all the electrical was taken out of that on December 17th. Long before Kevin violated me before that, as soon as he did, I took it off. All the electrical came out of it. It no longer exists. It's all been taken out. Right now, it's just a post with a number, just like 35 other posts with numbers on Thornhill. If you had a list of people that should know better, I would have been at the top of that list as far as the electrical permit goes. No argument there, but right now it's just a post with a number on it, like pretty much everybody else.
Oh, like I said, it's in the hands of town council.
Okay. I just want to clarify that because they keep referring to it as a light post.
Well, it was a
The
light.
post.
Well, it was, but it's no longer, and it's just a post with a number.
Okay, we'll call it the no longer light post.
Okay.
Mm.
Still in the right of way, though.
Right.
And it is still in the right of way.
Right.
Okay. Then I will go to our next meetings. The next meeting is Tuesday, February 2nd. It will be at 5 p.m. via Zoom, with the budget hearing number 2 to follow.
It will actually just be budget hearing number 2.
Oh, so we're not having a select meeting as such. We're just having the budget hearing.
That's correct.
At 5 o'clock.
That's correct.
And then after that, on Tuesday, February 23rd, a selectmen's meeting at 3:30 via Zoom. And then I think that we've had a discussion about how to hold town meeting.
1 second, sorry. Julie
No.
corrected me and said we are having a select meeting on the 2nd at 5 o'clock and budget hearing would follow. So my bad.
Wow, way to own up to it.
I know. Thank you, Julie.
All right,
Okay.
so we will have a select meeting at 5 o'clock on February 2nd. I hope there'll be just a little bit of business to do.
Right.
All right, so then, town meeting, we had a pretty good discussion this morning. And what has been decided is that we will have voting on May 11th. That will somehow be orchestrated. It may be an outside vote at the town office. We'll see if we can do a drive-through system that works for people. And then the actual deliberative session will be on Saturday, May 15th. And I think we would start that at 10 o'clock in the morning, hoping for a sunny day, but as we get closer, we'll see what we have to do. Possibly a tent. It will be outside. Hopefully people will mask and we will have a productive town meeting.
And that will be held at the town building in the back area, open area. So hopefully we'll be blessed with a nice day, like you said, but there also should be enough parking in the library parking lot and the side parking lot, etc.
I think it's the best location we figure out for an outdoor session. So we're going to try, and having it on Saturday, having it during the day. We're never going to make everyone happy, but we're trying to accommodate the most people and make it workable for those folks that want to attend.
Right.
The voting also can be by absentee ballot. So for the May 11th voting, if you do not want to take part in a drive-through, you can apply for a absentee ballot.
And I think we actually may, logistics are going to have to follow based on what's happening on May 11th. Drive-through seems to make sense right now, but, logistically we'll make it work. We've been very, very lucky to have great volunteers in the past and workers and the supervisors of the checklist. So we'll coordinate something that works well and is safe.
Yeah, we will.
And I believe we have to make a motion on these date changes.
I think we do.
So I will make a motion to move our voting day to May 11th and our deliberative session to May 15th at 10 o'clock.
Outside the library.
Correct, outside the library.
I will second that.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay, then is there any other public comment?
I don't see anyone chatting or raising hands, so.
Well, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will make that motion.
And I will second.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
And we are going to stay on the line for the same call for the budget meeting.
Okay, I would like to open the first budget hearing. And let's see, should we take turns reading through the budget, or you want me to do it? Should I read everything, or I don't know if people have obtained copies of the budget or are happy with what they have. So the first.
I guess just to comment that Julie did send an e-news out and with copies of the budget, PDF copies of the budget, and there are also hard copies of the budget available at town office. So if anyone does want those, they're available.
I have to turn them on. There we go. All right. So what do you think? Should I just go from section to section?
I think so.
All right. The first section I have is elected officers' salaries, selectmen's expenses, treasurer's expenses.
Originally, we had dropped that down by 1,968. Julie and I had a little chat before based on the fact that we are going to probably require some other volunteers for the elections and stuff. So we wanted to bump that up and keep it equal with last year's budget at 28,248.
But that keeps it level from
Correct.
last year. Okay, town clerk. Okay, town clerk, tax collector and deputy wages. That's 3% increase. Expenses. We're looking at another $1,500 in expenses, but elections and registration expenses are down by the $1,500 because we don't have as many elections this year.
Right. So we're just keeping it level. Karen's just keeping it level, except for the increase. So
yep,
that's it.
Okay, financial administration, office wages, short-term rental administrator. So that's a new item that we're asking to put in, have somebody about 10 hours a week to do the research for, you know, the tax cards, septic approvals, advertising. It's
And
all,
also, and also to build the database of the short-term rentals that are out there and do some research. So not just relying on folks to file their conditional use permits, but hopefully to make sure that we're finding out about the ones that aren't filing and can help build that inventory, et cetera. So I think that's a worthy investment to take some of the administrative part off of Julie Hoyt's plate, but also to, like I said, to help manage the increase in administrative costs that we have.
Can we offset that with increased fees that the people get fined and stuff? Is that going to be on the table sometimes?
We probably will. I don't know if we budgeted for an increase in fees or fines because we don't really want to have to make that a revenue center to cover expenses. There is probably going to be a recommendation and a warrant to increase the application fee to $150 from $50. So that would certainly cover some of this cost. But once we get the majority of the short-term rentals, if there are 100 to 150, we don't really know. Once we get them all to file their conditional use permit, that level will drop off significantly. So any penalties that we collect will probably go to offset legal bills more than this administrator. But yeah, it would be nice.
I've also asked Chris McAleer to, when he goes to state, he's our representative now.
Right.
When he goes to state, if he could ask about having a yearly permit fee. It just seems logical that, it's a one-time fee now. That's the way it's written. We can't do anything about that. But if the legislature could change that to a yearly fee, I think it would be appropriate, because then we'd have more leverage on policing and administering the short-term rentals. So anyway, that's a possibility. We never know.
I think in that case, it would have to change from a conditional use permit to a licensing situation. But again, like you said, that could be something down the road to look at.
Right, and it would have to happen through the state. We can't do that.
Right.
Okay, then we have under financial administration, after wages, short-term rental administrator, then operating expenses, they're up. Town office building expenses, professional fees, accounting, payroll, minutes, registry, recordings. That's flat. Training, that's flat. Utilities, will be interesting to see. Computer technology and support. Utilities, I'm interested to see if we start seeing any savings with our new solar.
Right. The other thing is, we talked about increasing the computer technology and support line because of the amount of virtual work that we're all doing. We wanted to put something in the budget to account for possibly updating and upgrading some of our software programs and technology for virtual use. I also want to make a blanket statement before we go much further in the budget that in 2020, we really put a kibosh on any heavy spending and any unnecessary spending because of COVID. When we look at the 2021 budget, we're probably in a worse COVID state now than we were this time last year when we were working on the budgets. So while we have numbers in here for 2021, we're really going to be more cautious now, or as cautious about spending money. So I'm hoping that when we go through these line items, that each of the department heads is thinking in the same terms, that we're not out of the clear. We hope that we're as successful in collecting our tax revenues this year as we were last year, but we really still have to be very diligent on saving money and not spending and not overspending. So blanket statement, and I'll be quiet now.
Sarah Clemens, may I speak?
Okay. I don't know.
I was just going to ask you, you're just saying we haven't gone up, we haven't done this. If, like, when you read the financial administration, you have the budget number for 2020 and the proposed budget number, could you at least read those two numbers? So if anybody doesn't have the budget papers in front of them, they know the figures you're talking about? Thank you.
Okay. Sarah, do you have the budget in front of you?
Yes, I do. But again, you're recording this as my understanding, so I just think it would be appropriate to put the figures in there so that people could hear it if they listen to the recording.
Well, all of these figures are totally available. They're available right now online. We have hard copies at the office, and
right. Excuse me, but I'm not asking you to read all of the underneath figures. I'm just asking you, like, the administration was 164,369, and this year it's 277, a 9.47% increase. That's 14,908. That's all I'm asking is just that one line. Thank you.
I've got you.
We can do that.
And these will
Thank
be
you.
in the minutes as well, too. So,
Thank you.
Okay, so that's, as Sarah said, it's $14,908 increase, 9.07%. That is the $10,000 of it for a short-term rental administrator that I think is a good idea. Town building expenses has moved from parks and buildings and is reconfigured there. So anyway, assessing, as I said before, Northtown has held the line, $40,000, no increase. They do a great job. Legal, let's see, we budgeted 25, spent 23,520. Next year, we're budgeting 35. That is up. I don't think we're being frivolous to put more money in for town council because it's coming at us.
yes.
Okay, personal administration, personnel. I misspoke that. Health insurance, New Hampshire retirement, FICA and Medicare, that's all up 13.9%. The employee contribution rate is increased from 3 to 5%. The rate increase is due to the plan change.
Last year, in 2020, we picked a different health plan that required employees and their dependents to go to a site of service for certain testing and appointments. And it was not a good fit, and it didn't end up saving time or money or making anyone very happy. So we went back to the different option, and that raised the costs a little bit, but also we're anticipating an increase as well. I'm still diligently looking for other options with Julie all the time.
And New Hampshire retirement rates are going up. We don't have anything to say about that.
Right.
And that comes to us. Fire's gone up, police gone up, employees have gone up. Planning board, zoning board, same budgets. That money is flat, $5,500 for the two of them. General government, parks and buildings. This is town building expenses moved to financial administration, Old Town Hall expenses to the Historical Society, offset in revenue. So that was up 10%, $10,000 in 2020, spent 10,157, budgeted 11,000 for this year, this coming year. Cemeteries is up 1.82%, $200. Insurance increases are calculated by Primex, property liability, workman's comp, unemployment. In 2020, Primex issued a $3,049 premium. Holiday for Workers' Comp program, which will be reflected in the 2021 budget. Building inspection. Budgeted was 46,211. We spent 44,307. We're proposing this year 52,880 is a 14.43% increase. The salary is a 3% increase. Last year was a 53-week year, and this year will be a 52-week year. The increase to 35 hours per week for the building inspector, who is putting in those hours now anyway.
At least.
And we're just trying to catch him up for the work he does. Revenues from 2020 were 44,059. So building permit costs pretty much break even for us. Police
Thanks,
budget.
Kevin.
Oh,
I said, thanks, Kevin.
oh, thank you very much, Kevin. I mean,
It's,
he does the work. That's all I
Yeah.
can say is he does the work.
yeah.
He's there for almost everybody. Excuse me. Okay, police budget is up 0.22%. I'd call that holding the line. It's up $694. Ambulance service, that is the Bartlett Jackson ambulance service is up. I forget why they
They
went up.
increased that back to the 2019 amount, and we're still waiting for a final
Right.
approval from that. And the reason why 2020 was less was because they had a surplus of funds. So they bumped it back up to what 2019 was.
And as you said, we're still gonna have a meeting to solidify that.
Correct.
Okay, fire. Fire department is up 4.41%, which is $7,723 on a budget request of $182,762. This would be a place where wages will be increased by 3%. We don't ever know how many call out we're going to get, so it's kind of floating, but we're certainly, I think, oh, that's in another section, but we're going to talk to the fire department about their spending. We'll see what happens with putting money into a capital reserve for a truck.
Comment.
Jay is on the phone. That's
Hey, Dick,
Okay.
Jay, do you want me to comment on the increase?
I don't think it's really an issue.
Okay.
You can. I mean, it's always good.
It's pretty. My increase, my increases are all based on call volume, and our calls are up 10%, one of our busiest years in a long time, and it's basically due to people coming here, playing here, living here, wanting to work from home, instead of being in Mass or other states. So that's mostly everything is, we had a bad year for repairs. We had a lot of small broken stuff, nothing major. But all the other line items are basically call driven. And we expect to be busier next year. It appears with COVID Everybody's coming here to play. Everybody's here in their condos. Everybody's building garages and working in their apartments above the garages. So that's basically where all of the increase is from, other than normal cost of living. The other item I have found is everything that we buy that is so specialized. The price is through the roof on everything with the way the factories are set back with COVID and employees. And so that's basically the short story on why I have an increase.
All right. And I can empathize. It must be hard to get product, anything, because everybody has cut back. All manufacturing is cut back, and there's a waiting list for almost anything you want to try to get. I know I run into it in the building industry, and we're going to live through it, though. We will live through it.
Is there anything that we absolutely have to have, though, Jay, next year? I mean, it's something that's on the must-have list.
Well, the special equipment line item is, as you can see, I didn't spend all of that this year. That's how I kept my budget under budget, because I was actually expecting to go over budget this year with everything else. But I mean, special equipment, we just make decisions of, like this year we had to make a decisions on some stuff and hold off, try to keep the budget down, but because of COVID. And then there's certain things that we think we have to have and certain things that we put off. So that's really the only place, I'm looking at the list now, that's really the only wants versus needs, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like Barbara said earlier, it's we're still kind of in the COVID kind of thinking in terms of spending, and obviously, if we need something, we got to have it, and obviously if we can hold off a year, it'd be great. But obviously, you make the call on that.
Well, like I said, my increases are all based on wages, gasoline, operating expenses. So it's the increases aren't for wants.
No.
I mean, if I can cut out, if some of the special equipment stuff we don't need to do, then we put it off in 2021, and maybe it'll offset some of those increases. But I'm definitely anticipating another increase in calls, which wages is the big item. It depends on what we get for calls, how many people show up. One of the positives we have that cost us money is I'm getting a lot of people responding to calls, which we're doing better than almost any town in the valley, which is good. It's great that we've got 13, 14 people showing up at 2 a.m. for alarm activation, but it costs money. And another item there that hopefully gets fixed.
I mean, I'm not a fireman, so I don't know, Jay, but I mean, if somebody like a nighttime fire alarm, false alarm type thing, is there any way, I know people have to get ready and get, mustered up and stuff like that, but, like have 2 people check it out and say, oh, it's just a false alarm, everybody can go back to bed, that type of thing. I don't know if to save money. Is this ridiculous?
There's no way to change that.
No, I didn't think so.
Because when the tone goes out, people respond, and then you got to pay them, to come here for an hour or 2. So there's no way to, there's no way to say, oh, you 2 can come, but you 2 stay home.
The only thing we could do is charge for, after a certain point, charge for some false alarms. I know that is a process.
Hopefully some of the payroll, I think, will get fixed on the mutual aid side, because we've, been helping Bartlett with some issues they had, and it appears the new chief is solving some of those issues. So hopefully mutual aid will be down a little bit, and that'll maybe bring payroll down a little bit.
Yep.
Sarah Clemens. May I speak?
Okay.
Oh, I don't know how the procedure goes with Zoom meetings. I was just, along with John Allen, I think it was, that said years ago, after so many alarms, the town did send out bills to people to try to stop the overreaction of having men have to get out at all hours of the day and night to report to a false alarm. Thank you.
That was me. I remember those days too. It's kind of it's a hard point because there are going to be false alarms, but it seems that some systems become chronic. So it's the same house that's putting out a false alarm. So hopefully we could track that and maybe recoup some money.
What I've
Because
done since I've been here as chief is when we get a residence or a business that has multiple false alarms, we do everything in our power to solve the problem instead of billing them, and we've done that on multiple businesses, whether it means changing a detector or putting a different style in or moving something, and it's worked well. We still, like you said, Dick, we still have, some issues that aren't easily solvable, especially with dampers and flues and chimneys, burnt food, like that. But I haven't seen a draft, I haven't seen where we've had to bill anybody yet. We do keep an eye on it. The problem with the billing is sometimes it gets, what do you charge? You got to, and then you've got time invested in sending bills and, all that. So it's just a matter of, if it looks like we need to do that, then we'll explore it. But I haven't seen where there's been so many that you need to bill.
Possibly we could. Okay, possibly that's something that in the future, for instance, Jay, you know how many false alarms you go on, how many men respond, what the cost is to the town. And as a caretaker, I know what you're saying about billing because I have gone to many false alarms myself. Thank you.
So a couple other notes, as Kevin mentioned in chat, the Firefighters Association used $10,000 of their own money on additional fire equipment as well. So we appreciate that contribution. And then, Jay, it looks like a lot of your other budget items came in under, and just keep being diligent and smart about what you need to purchase and needs versus wants. So I think point made.
Well said. Okay, emergency management. Let's see, it has gone up, and that's trying to catch Emily up to what she does.
Yeah, she's been really a great contributor to our COVID policies, which I can guarantee you, if we didn't have Emily, our legal services would be a lot higher. So that's been money well spent for Emily and Kevin's time as well. And then we did have some grant money to offset the expenses that we had in the year, but and that's kind of another unknown for 2021 is whether or not there will be any other grant money or government funding to cover COVID expenses as they come through. So right now we're not anticipating anything. So all of this is expenses coming through our budget.
Well, even if we do get some grant money, we have to budget for what we foresee as our expenses. And if we get grant money, so much the better.
Yep.
Okay, highway administration. So highway wages are up 1.3%. It's a 3% salary increase, but because of the 52-week, 53-week difference in the years, it doesn't look like as much. Highway is actually down a little. Look, see exactly where, but I know that there's one place, because we didn't do any paving last year. And I didn't know if we could find some money in the money market account. I think there's a good chunk of money in there, and use some of that money this year if we have to go through any catch up on paving or any other expense. I know that you don't know which road's going to wash out. You don't know which culvert's going to wash out, but there's been some discussion if we could start to map out the roads in Jackson and give people just some idea of when they might expect. I think we've done it before, when they might expect to see improvement on their road. So we'll work on that. I think that's a projection. As I said, you never know where you're going to get called out to fix the culvert or wash out, a road washout, but we can make some projections on how the paving will go in town.
I really would like to request a decrease in that road maintenance. And I know it's a tough thing, and Pat, I know you're on the call as well, so if you want to speak to this as Dick, if that's okay with you, but
oh yeah,
the 130,000, of course, we didn't do any paving this year, but I know you must have had some expenses for upkeep and some maintenance. And like Dick mentioned, we have $127,000 in the money market account that we could use for offsetting some of the proposed expenses. But I would like to know what your, like, if you have a 1 year, 3 year plan of what roads you intend to do if you were given the 150,000 and times were normal, and then see if we could reduce that down to squeeze by another year without spending all that money.
I've got 1 to 3 years out now is usually, working on that usually many times throughout the year and changing it and addressing it. It's mostly a matter of, I got to look at how much money I'm able to spend, and then I have to make the determination of what gets done. So I know, I bet, probably 10 people had questioned how come we didn't pave this year, and they don't understand why we didn't pave this year, from citizens. Mm-hmm. And it's up to you guys. I'm gonna take what I'm, last year or 2020, I only paved in a few culverts that had to be replaced and patches. Whatever you guys want me to spend is what I'll spend. I know it's tough staying ahead because if you look at your assets in town, your roads are your biggest asset. So that's everything that you learn when you go to any type of education about keeping your roads up and keeping your town up, is your roads are your biggest expense in town. And if you don't stay up on them, it's real quick to go behind. So.
And I realized that we asked you for last year to try to hold your costs down and your spending down, and I think you did that. So I think there is some money that we can dip into that would be appropriate. So hopefully we'll do that.
Yep, we should have, there's money in the money market expense, and then there's, I believe the 65,000 went into the capital reserve fund last year as well. Mm-hmm. That I didn't spend, obviously, so that's in there as well, I assume. And so there's the capital reserve expense that we usually do if you wanted to not do that this year, or kind of up to you guys. You guys tell me how much money I got, and I'm gonna take it and put it where it needs to go best.
Is the 1 to 3 year plan, or whatever kind of referred to. Is that something that you have mapped out that, my goodness. Is that something you have mapped out, Pat, that you could share, you know, or how do you plan for that?
It's usually just a spreadsheet that I have roads with estimations on what it costs to repave it and do a reclaim on it and whatnot. So, you know, I have which was actually 2020's paving plan, was to do a bunch on Tin Mine. And then we need to address where we reclaimed Whitney's Hill in 2019, and we never top coated that. That was on last year's plan. It never got done. So that really is something that should get done to seal the road up on Whitney's Hill and Deer Run and Woodpecker Ridge up there. And then this year we were gonna do that, as well as reclaim Middle Mountain Road, reclaim Presidential Road, and then repave those. And then I have 2021 as an option. Green Hill needs some work. It's there's several kind of bigger roads. Green Hill needs work. Carter Notch is in some need of work, and those are fairly expensive roads, whether you do part of one, part of another one. I mean, I can read down through it, but if you want, or I can email it to you and you can look at it, whichever you'd like to see.
Yeah, if you could email it, that would be great. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will do.
Okay, any further on the highway department? Okay, street lighting. We raised the same amount. Solid waste disposal was up 9.5. I think tipping fees are up. Operating expenses, we put a little more in for that. They ran over last year, so we're raising more this year. The joint operating account's the same. Anyway, solid waste disposal is up from $116,000 that we spent last year, and we're raising $132,500 this year.
And honestly, there may be some expenses that apply back to 2020 that, I mean, we don't get a real big detail from the transfer station of what some of the expenses are. So I think Julie's using her best guess with a small increase, just so we don't go over budget.
Yes.
Can I go back to the highway department for a minute? Are we going to recommend that we decrease this budget before the next meeting, or do we want to leave it as is and discuss further?
I would, why don't we reduce it by the 30,000 that we'd like to take out of the money market?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we have that in for the next meeting?
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I think that's appropriate. Animal control. Oh, we're going to save money there. We're only raising $1,000 this year. Public welfare. We didn't spend the money from last year, but we came close. Jeez. We had one quite, anyway, we didn't have to spend it, and I'm happy for that. But we have to stay prepared for that. The library, Now, the library has saved us some money. Salaries are up.
And Roger Aubrey is on the call if we have any questions, and Lycan is also on the call. But I know that in 2020, we had money in for painting, so that was part of the larger expenses.
Right. That was 18,000.
That's a chunk.
Yeah.
And that came out of the library money, by the way, out
Yes.
of our trust funds.
Yeah, and this is, yeah, so this is offset by the revenues, but it's detailed here so we can see it. So.
Yeah.
Thanks, Roger.
Okay. So other conservation is the Jackson Conservation Commission. Raise the same amount for them. Other cultural and recreation, that's up. Oh yes, to film, put more money in to film the meetings.
Yeah, and we're helping Hank pay for some of the costs of the hosting the website where he posts all of the town meetings.
Yes.
And thanks, Hank, for all the work you do.
And I was just going to say, we should thank him for what he does.
Yes.
It's a wonderful asset for many people.
Hank, I know you've quoted some statistics in the past of how many views you get on some of the meetings, and it's really impressive. It may not be, we may not know if it's the same person or not, but we get quite a few lookers on our meetings. So it's nice to have them.
Sure. We've been getting about 300 viewers per month who watch the recordings. And then for each Selectmen's meeting, we're getting like 25 to 30 hits per meeting.
Nice. It's nice to have it available, like we said. So thank you.
Okay, Parks and Recreation, Bartlett Recreation is flat, so that's $6,700. Debt service, the bond principal, bond interest on Valley Carse Road Bridge, which I think will go away after this year. Crossroad Bridge, I think we'll have raised our share of the money for that if we can get them to just go ahead and get started.
Right. I think there's one more year left on the warrant article for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the 80-some thousand or whatever it is, 85,000.
Well, it'll be nice when we raise that.
Yes.
So anyway, the total operating budget as written is up 4.44%. We'll see what we can do with fire and highway. I don't know between now and next budget hearing what we can do, but we'll tweak it. Try to do our best.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, we have a capital reserve, vehicles, buildings, sod at the falls, police cruiser, and a highway truck, and a fire ATV. The ATV was mostly money donated.
Right.
Is the police cruiser in now?
Yes, Dick. One that we recently purchased is at Ospey Mountain Electronics, being outfitted with lights and siren and radio. It should be ready for pickup this week. It's been lettered by Eben at Signsmiths. So it's been paid for. I dropped the check off yesterday at Crest. So as soon as I pick it up in Ossipee, it'll be ready to go online.
That's great. I know that you want to keep the Tahoe. We're going to have a discussion on that.
Okay. I will say, I will tell you, it was handy in particular because as soon as we got the new car, the Tahoe had some serious repairs that had to be done in the front suspension. So I was down for a couple of days being repaired. And fortunately, even though the new Cruiser wasn't marked or lighted, we were able to use it to fulfill some obligations. We had to take some evidence to the crime lab in Concord, do some other things. I did school crossing in it. So that third Cruiser is very helpful, particularly when a vehicle is being serviced. And I like to keep the cars on the road and we fix things when they need to be. So, but I'm always open to any discussion.
Okay, well, we're always going to keep up whatever vehicles we have. There's no question about that. That's silly to have something that's not working or running or doing what it's supposed to do. And I just want to have the discussion. If we need that third vehicle, maybe we should start planning for that third vehicle. But as I said, that's not my goal for the discussion, but
Sure.
we'll have it.
Yeah, my plan moving forward is the current 2016 Dodge pickup, which has 110,000 miles, will become the spare vehicle rather than the Tahoe. The Tahoe is a 2014, but it's at 84,000 miles. So we have a bigger margin for mileage on the Tahoe than we do if we run the new truck and the old truck. So the old truck is going to be the spare car to immediately start kind of taking the miles off of that car. It's still a good car. We did some substantial repairs to the vehicle earlier in the year or last year. But it does have 110,000 miles and it's an emergency vehicle. Sometimes you have to drive it like an emergency vehicle and sometimes you have to put other people in the car. So you want to make sure they're safe. But then we'll have a car with no miles. We'll have the 2014 Chevy with 84,000 miles. And then what I'd like to do ultimately is get another Dodge truck so that we have two frontline Dodge trucks similarly kitted, and then a spare car, whether it's the Dodge truck or the Dodge truck goes to some other function of government or gets sold. And then the third car becomes either the old Dodge truck or the Chevy Tahoe. So that's kind of the long-term plan. If that's also your plan, your cars.
All right, so then we have the warrant articles that will be voted on. And the recurring capital reserve funds for a fire truck, road construction, highway truck, Bartlett Jackson ambulance, heavy highway vehicle, police cruiser, reval of the town, and the solar energy. Those are, all going to be voted on as we fund those various capital reserve funds. Okay, there's discussion there. I don't know if we want to have any of that discussion now. It's always good to have the ideas. We can have them at the next budget hearing. Recurring expendable trust funds, that's for the transfer station, state aid for reconstruction, bridge repair, fire, dry hydrants, police department, fire department equipment. Maloon Road groundwater maintenance, we have to keep funding that so they can test it and tell us the same thing every 3 or 4 years. Town office equipment, we should always be preparing for the meltdown of the computers, which will happen right when we need them. So then we have.
So,
Yeah.
just, I left, Julie and I had a little bit of discussion about town office equipment. We left it at $500. And that's on the other side, on the operating budget, we had increased the budget for the computer technology and support. Most computers and smaller pieces of equipment aren't considered capital because their computers just aren't that expensive anymore. So rather than raising it through a warrant article, we increased the operating budget. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. John, you had a question?
I had a question about the balance of the dry hydrants. We need $31,000 in there. Am I reading that right?
You are reading it right.
We spent 500 last, I don't know history, but it seems like an awful lot of money to have in there when we only asking for 500.
What is that? Could I have?
Hey, Jay's here. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about, I don't have the numbers right in front of me on that. But I did discuss, I think about lowering that fund because there is enough money in there if we ever needed to work on a dry hydrant, which is the pipe work that sucks water out of a pond. Or it can be used for, cistern. The mitigation plan has a plan someday for some kind of a cistern on top of Tyrol, which we lack drastically. So that's kind of what the money is saved in there for. But the point is, I did discuss, we haven't done much with ponds lately and we're in pretty good shape. So that was a place that we could cut some money. And I can't remember what the money budget number was for 21, 22, type 21, whatever. So that was discussed.
Yeah, it's only $500, but I just.
Yeah, I think it used to be, I think we dropped it because it was 25 or 35 or something like that. So I guess if it's 500, then me and Julie in our budget discussion last month dropped it to the 500. And I think it's good to keep it at 500 just to keep that fund active. So that's what that fund is all about, basically.
But it does have $31,086 in it.
Correct.
Okay.
Which we're in good shape on that.
Dick, Pat Kelly here, if I can add something on state aid reconstruction.
Sure.
That $5,000, I don't know if you have to put money into a fund to keep it anything. I don't know anything about that, but we definitely don't need to put that money in, especially this year. It used to be 30,000 and we dropped it way down. The state paved all of the state roads. That money is set aside for, it used to be a state match program, and then eventually the state stopped matching funds. The town would put like 25,000 into the state aid roads, and then the state would do the same. And then they stopped matching and we kept paving. And a couple of years ago, when they paved all of the state roads, Black and Moody Farm and Carter Notch, we dropped it down to 5,000. I think that was Bob Thompson's decision to keep 5 in there. But it takes $30,000 to $40,000 to pave a half a mile of road. So if we're not going to fund it, we don't really need to fund it. If we're going to fund it, we have to fund it with, $30,000 or so, and not 5. So that's just, it's something that could definitely be cut out to something minimal or 0, whatever.
All right.
Great.
I've made a note that we don't need to do that. But this is good. I mean, any place that we can save some money
Mhm.
is worth doing it. I mean, we want to have the money to run all of the aspects of town, but if we can save some, let's save some.
Yep.
Okay, we have the recurring social services. And that's down a little. Tri-County Action has combined all of their programs into one request. I don't know if that's saved us the money. I guess, yes, it did. And Tri-County Homeless Intervention. That's down 5.5%, $1,136.
Julie, did we receive any of the other ones that we were waiting on? And were we going to use, or leave the fireworks and the beautification project in there at the bottom for the chamber?
We received all of the requests that we needed to.
Okay.
We did not receive a request for 3,000 for fireworks. They were going to roll that over from last year since we did not have them.
Okay. So we can take that out for this year. Oh, I know what it was. We had talked, okay, yeah, we had talked to about calling Kathleen about other uses for the chamber, so.
Correct.
I can reach out to her before the next budget meeting.
And I don't know where it fits in, but we don't have anything for cable TV because I understand they do not respond to any of our requests. We've tried
Right.
to see what could happen to have access to that, and there is no response. So we're certainly not going to raise any money.
Right.
I
That's,
even tried to get them to agree to a new franchise agreement so we could include that, and there was no response to that either.
And is that with Spectrum?
yeah.
Yeah, everyone else is on board. Conway's on board, Valley Vision is on board, but we can't get it through Spectrum.
Well, I don't know what leverage we have there.
Before we move on, I just noticed a different increase up on the very top line for the fire department truck. Jay, did you want to talk about that $20,000 increase there?
Yeah, that's, remember back 2-3 months ago, we had a little meeting in the Selectmen's office, where I talked about the UTV and the fire trucks and stuff. And I talked about the drastic increase in cost of fire trucks and how a few years ago it got cut from 100 down to 80, and we talked about putting that 20 back and bringing it back up to 100. So that's what that was about.
Okay, we've got $404,000 in there. If we went back on that 20,000, took it out, we're still putting money in. If we need a new truck, when we need a new truck, we can get a bond. I've had several people suggest that that would be a way to approach it. And that way, you're paying for it when you have the voice to vote on it when that comes up. And then we get a bond for it at that time. I think that would be an acceptable way to purchase a new fire truck. But I'm sure that we could take the $20,000 out now, put that aside, take it out of the budget, and I don't think we're hurting ourselves. Yes, fire trucks are going to be expensive. Nothing gets less expensive as the years go by. I don't see it, but I think that is an avenue to consider, that we have a lot of money in there for a truck, and that a bond would qualify for it. We're a very stable town. We should get a very favorable rate to get that bond. So I don't think it would be putting us in a bad position.
No, we're looking at 660 grand around 2020. I don't know if it's 22, 23, maybe it's 23 for so no, we're not in bad shape. And there's always that discussion of bonding versus saving money for it. You know, I hope we would at least definitely keep saving money and not try to bond all of it. That there's a big advantage, I think, to having some money in a bank account when it comes time to buy a truck. So you're not trying to convince the taxpayers to bond the entire amount. But yeah, whatever you want to do. I brought up
my suggestion is to take the $20,000 back out this year, keep it at the 80. And, you know, we are still funding that capital reserve. So even if a truck came up quickly before we were expecting it, we have enough money to get started, and it doesn't just hammer our budget to go for the bond.
Yeah, if that's what you guys want to do, I'm fine with that.
Okay, let's put for the next budget hearing, let's adjust that figure.
Back down to 80.
Yep.
Thanks, Jay.
Yep. Thank you.
So where was I? Oh, recurring social services. So we talked about cable. Okay, then there's some new stuff. A roof for the town office over the handicap ramp has been suggested because now with the solar collectors on the roof, we get tremendous snow slides that hit the walkway, the handicap walkway, dead center. So if anybody was using it, they kind of get cleaned out. So we should look at that. It's been hard to get prices. Quality builders are really strapped right now. They're quite busy, so it's been hard to get numbers for that, but it's not inappropriate to think of $15,000 for that.
I'd almost like to rename it to instead of handicap ramp to town clerk's walk-up window, because that's where a lot of business is being done now. So it's not just the handicap ramp. You know, if that were it would be fine, but that's where Karen and Gloria do the bulk of their business now, at the walk-up window. So I want to make sure the context is correct when folks look at that through the budget.
Sure.
Just semantics.
Right, but I mean, it's semantics, but it clears up the idea of it. It's not just the handicap ramp, it's to cover people from getting hit with a snow slide when they're trying to do business through the window.
Yeah.
So
So Julie, if you want to just rename it to like roof for town office at clerk's window or something like that, just whatever, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
okay, then the highway truck capital reserve fund, $30,000. Then we have a zoning ordinance.
Is this a new highway truck fund? Is that is
No,
a new
no,
truck?
it's just it's an offset for the sale of the highway truck, and it goes, it's an
okay.
offset from what we got for the old truck to offset back into the
Gotcha.
capital reserve fund.
Yep.
I'm sorry to mean to interrupt.
Nope. Was there anything in there's no numbers for the amendment number 1 zoning ordinance. Was that something?
Oh, where
Nothing
was
there yet.
it? Well,
That was
hopefully-
for the increase in the fee.
Oh. The Airbnbs.
Yep.
Gotcha.
The
Short-term
short-term
rentals,
rental increase
gotcha.
in fee. And also going back up, I don't know if Pat is still on the line, but he did mention the heavy highway vehicle. That number was never increased. And he was talking about having the need for a new loader at some point. So I don't know if he wants to speak to that at all.
I don't think he's on the call anymore, actually. I'm just looking.
Well, it's
Okay,
summertime.
yeah. Okay, I'll make a note of that. I see that now over in the footnotes on the right. So we'll make sure Pat can talk to that at the next meeting.
Okay, and then I do see where the Valley Vision discussion was, the $5,000 was taken out. And the fire station feasibility study. We have that money. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was already appropriated for
Yeah.
them. We just haven't received the final bill on that, and we don't have anything at this time for 2021.
Right. So what do you think? Is that the, oh, I may have another page. Oh, I do.
Revenue.
Oh, revenue.
This is the good stuff.
Oh, money coming in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Taxes. That's the timber tax, interest and penalties, payment in lieu of taxes, land use change tax, all of those. Again, it's a guesstimate. They're down almost 12%, $12,000. Licenses, permits and fees. Should be up. Other up 6%. Federal government is
That
going
was
to
just
give
the
us,
COVID CARES Act. Yeah.
so they're not going to give us back any of our money this year. They may.
Not yet.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah.
It could. They're talking about
Mm-hmm.
something. State of New Hampshire, municipal aid, meals and rooms, highway block grant. Well, they're all down a little, 7.5%, which is $6,771. Municipal aid was in the state budget for 19 and 20. Yeah, we don't know what we'll get from them.
Right.
Refunds and reimbursements. We don't know.
Nope.
Charges for services. Okay, income from the departments. I don't know if that's library trustees revenue.
And that's the offset from the expense, the same as the
Oh, yes.
expense side. That's the
Okay.
offset and reduced for the painting that was in 2020.
Yeah. Sale of municipal property. We don't know. We had some. It could come up again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Interest. Get a little interest. Miscellaneous. Donations. Donations and grants, we never know. And the total operating revenue for the coming year, it looks like it would be projected at 492,000. Sorry, I'm thinking of my own terms,
That's right.
not town terms.
49,
400
please.
Real numbers.
What my operating budget would be the 4,000. So $492,235. Total revenue, as I stated. There's a very nice sheet that people should look at to see how the money gets divided up and what part of it goes to the school and what part of it goes to town. And anyway, I think that's a good good sheet for people to look at to really get an idea of where the money's going.
I also, the town value sheet also has the balance in the funds, which, you know, we always retain a nice healthy balance. And again, I think that we're really fortunate to have the representatives that we have in the town, that we've been able to save and not spend, but we also have a healthy balance, and we were able to reduce our tax rate. And hopefully over this next year, we'll have as good fortune in collecting our taxes, and we will be able to keep our tax rates lower by utilizing some of the fund balance again.
All right, are there any further comments about the budget at this time?
Julie just made a comment too, and it is interesting on that tax rate comparison page, the assessed value of the town over the past 10 years, from 465 billion, from 385 billion to 465 billion. So it just shows how much of our property has increased in value over 10 years. So people want to come here. I don't see anyone raising their hand for public comment, and I don't see anything in the chat, so.
I would like to close the meeting.
Well, I would have one comment, one more final comment, just about potential retaining fees. If we did, just for the record, so to speak, that if we were to consider some of these percentages, what our final tax rate would be, just to give the viewing members an idea. Because right now we're projected at 520 per thousand.
Well, we have to have a discussion of that to see what our fund balance, what we vote on to have as a fund balance. And then I think adjust the few adjustments that we talked about at the meeting tonight. I think that could be, when would we have our, no, we're not going to vote on the fund balance until
usually in the summer, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. It gives you an idea of if we kept the, $5.18, we would still be able to use our fund balance and still keep it at the suggested ranges. So.
Right. I guess my point is, if we use those suggested ranges, we would be significantly lower than what we were last year.
Correct.
wanted to note that.
Okay. Holding it down.
All right, yeah.
Okay. Barbara, anything further?
No,
John, anything further?
I'm all set, thank you.
thanks to Julie Atwell for putting all these numbers together too.
Oh, excellent sheet,
yes.
excellent.
Thank you very much. And thanks for all the attendees too. I will make a motion to adjourn the budget hearing number 1.
I will second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes.
Have
All
a
right,
good
thank you
evening,
all.
everyone.
All right, that was a good evening.
Dinner.
Thank you.
Bye.